Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge Short Flights. I'm your host Lance here with another episode of Undead Unluck. Today we're covering episode 3. And if you've been following me up until this point, you'll know that I am covering the manga and the anime so I can tell you guys everything that's the same and different. In today's episode, we cover all of chapters 4 and all of chapters 5. And everything is exactly the same. It's no different. I didn't find one. Okay, if I want to nitpick a little bit, I guess I can say the very beginning of the anime where they showed Andy undead and a little girl, and he was like, "Happy birthday, Gina." That wasn't in the manga at all. So I thought that was a little interesting because yeah, just I didn't see that part at all. No biggie. But other than that, everything else was perfectly the same. So many of the dialogue was straight up taken, and it was so fun to see. Okay, so let's just get into some of the bigger things to take away from this episode. Number one, this is the first episode where we don't see Andy's dick. I thought that was kind of funny. I just needed to bring that up. I've neglected to say in the past 2 episodes that, with the whole censoring thing, this show has been very generous about how big his censored area is. So I thought that was really funny. And then, yeah, so today we don't get to see that censored spot. Another important uh, piece of information is learning about Gina. That's probably going to be the biggest takeaway because obviously it's the cliffhanger and what we're going to be expecting next. Gina was a negator who was the one who officially stole Andy 50 years ago, and she's got the power of invisible barriers. And if you're a little confused on why she was able to bring a chunk of land out of the lake, let's just anime logic that with she created a giant barrier and lifted up some of the land. So that's how that's got to work. So that's her ability. Remember, she's got invisible barriers. And apparently, they must have had somewhat of a romantic interest back in the past because they seem a little chummy together. So I can't wait to see more out of that. That one's obviously going to be the biggest takeaway from this and into the next episode is I can't wait to see their fight. Andy also explained two more people. We've got Unbreakable, the guy who made the sword that Andy stole. So I can't wait to meet him. He's probably got to be, I would imagine his body is unbreakable and he can just create unbreakable things. So the sword is just that much more important because now we're going to expect that this sword can't break and then it's going to be just that much more powerful, which is going to be pretty freaking sweet. And the third person that we got a little hint on is some engineer guy. And that's all we got. It's just some guy that worked on him, did all the experiments on Andy's body. So that's interesting. But that's the big stuff. If we want to take a step backwards, we can talk about the boat trip going to Russia because that was literally all of chapter 4. Chapter 4 was driving the boat, stealing the jet, and that's it. So in that part, we got to see that Andy's starting to figure out Unluck's ability a little bit more. And what he pretty much figured out, or at least what he's hypothesizing, is that the value of the touch increases with how much she personally values that kind of a touch. So we got a haircut, which was valuable to her, which resulted in a thunderbolt. We got a kiss that she valued, which resulted in a meteor. So it was a little bit higher of a value. So it was a bigger impact. And then we got an unconscious mouth to mouth CPR, which resulted in underwater volcano blasting up, allowing them to even jump onto that jet and steal it to begin with. So those are interesting. But now it makes me wonder what would a true kiss do and what would that one sexual moment, that one real sex moment happen if they really do it. Those are going to be two really big things that are, really pushing this younger woman into adulthood, and those are have big consequences coming out of that. So I can only imagine what that's going to be. Is it going to be earth shattering, or is it going to be a little bit more settling, or is it going to have opposite effects? You have no idea. So I can't wait to see what happens when we start tapping into those. Man. So, yeah, those are going to be the biggest takeaways from this episode, and all amazing information. Definitely enjoyed learning so much more about this, and I can't wait to see more. So that's going to conclude today. Can't wait to see next week's episode. If you guys haven't already, please go follow the Anime Show on Facebook and Instagram. Stay up to date on everything anime related, and also go check out every other Anime Lounge short flight that we're doing this season. If you're on YouTube, they will be in the description. So have fun with that, and I'll see you guys next week.